we started looking at the 7 letters to the 7 churches in the book of Revelation as we close out this commemorative year together. The second church is the Church of Smyrna, and Smyrna was considered in the descriptive from the Lord as being a poor and persecuted church, while at the same time they lived in the most brilliant city in all of Asia Minor. So a real juxtaposition, if you will. And this is how that letter went to them. It says, "And to the angel of the church in Smyrna write the words of the first and the last who died and came to life. I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich, and the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan." He said, "Do not fear what you're about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested, and for 10 days you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. He who has an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who conquers will not be hurt in the second death." Jesus describes himself to this both poor and persecuted church as the words of the first and the last who died and came to life. I've said it before, God gets the first word and the last word. And there's no one that needs to know that more than people who are persecuted for their faith. The letter to the Church of Smyrna is only one of 2 letters where there's no rebuke given. But God does tell them that even though they may feel poor and persecuted, they really are rich. And do you know, that's kind of the commodity of God. He just doesn't look at things the way we look at them. We look at life through these temporal glasses, but God is always looking at things through an eternal perspective. And when I read that, when he said, even though you're poor and pitiable, you're still rich. How is that so? Well, it reminded me of the Beatitudes in Matthew 5, where he said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God." And then he said, "Blessed are you when you are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for yours is the kingdom of heaven." There is a greater wealth. There is a greater kingdom, and it's not this one. And yet it's so easy to get our eyes fixed here that we miss the fact that we are citizens of another world. This world is not our home. So, what if we were persecuted like the Christians in Nigeria or those in Myanmar or those in China? What if we knew that kind of persecution? Would we be able to stand faithful in the face of it? And we don't need to be deceived in thinking that that kind of persecution could not happen here, because it gets there little by little by little. It doesn't always just come in one fell swoop. So this right is taken away, and this moment is stolen away, and this is taken from you, and this is taken from you. Or the church's principles are diminished or made fun of or mocked. Or we're diminished as individuals or made fun of or mocked. And until it can get to the point where believers are persecuted, even to the point of death. And Jesus told them, he said, even if you are, there is a crown of life waiting for you. Do you remember that image of those Coptic Christians kneeling on the sand in those orange jumpsuits with ISIS fighters standing behind them? Do you remember that picture? The picture is emblazoned on my mind. But do you know what's also emblazoned on my mind? is the way those Coptic Christians were. They were faithful to their Father, even unto death. And do you know what? As soon as they were released from this life into that one, there was a crown of life waiting for them. Christianity is not for the weak of heart, but it is for the faithful of heart. And God is letting you know today that no matter what kind of persecution you may go through, whether in your family, in your workplace, in your nation, He will get the last word. Every single time. If your heart was encouraged today, please know that we have many other resources available for you. You can discover all of those at reclaiminghearts.org.